Hello, our friends. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hope everything is just great. And if you do nothing today, I hope it's just as great.
Yes, and so, I was just catching up on working on things around the house because, you got to do it when you could do it. So,
Do we didn't do too many special things today. We had some Roma. We had some really good pumpkin pie that Mike made, totally homemade from scratch. Absolutely delicious. And then we worked around the house, but nice quiet day.
and so for us, Christmas dinner is just going to be a major salad with some homemade roasted garlic salad dressing and pizza completely from scratch. It'll be scratch crust as well as scratch sauce.
Yeah.
So that'll be our Christmas dinner.
It's going to be so good, too, because, one of these days I am going to lasso this guy down and get recipes and put them on the website. I promise. I'll get there.
So, guys, as always, make sure that you are subscribed to both channels, Evolutionary and EEARTS, and we'll be getting back into doing some deep dives. We got some interesting topics coming up. We do want to thank everybody for your support over on Patreon and then also on Ko-Fi. Do check out evolutionaryenergyarts.com to reach us. It's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. And do check out Medicinal Food. There is a link in every video. And use coupon code EEA. It does give you a discount. There we go. That was weird. Yeah, they don't want us talking about this because this is a subject, again, that we should be really watching closely. Over 7,000 left without power after 3 Tacoma substation facilities were attacked. Hello, how is this not bigger news? We had seen this in North Carolina, and at that time people were saying, there's been some in Washington and Oregon. I think there's some probably in many more locations as well, but it feels like this is being kind of downplayed, not really covered. Well, I was going to say, maybe there's a agenda going on.
Right? If it weren't for some of our family members who they don't miss anything, we would not have seen this, even though we do go over things of an awkward nature. But this is barely out there. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. What I'm feeling is that we're probably going to see a little bit more.
Are you feeling this is sleepy cellular units?
I definitely feel it. Sleepy cellular units in some way, shape, or form. This is something that really got me concerned. My spidey senses went up when I saw that. So we should keep an eye. And people are so vulnerable right now. That's what makes me so sad. It's like this doesn't need to happen, but they're doing it.
No, yeah, absolutely. So the police were called to investigate possible burglaries going on. Nothing was stolen, but it was vandalized. They say vandalized. But was this just vandalizing, or was this simply, it's cold out? If you're behind the lines, so to speak, in enemy territory, and you're there to create havoc, and what a better way of creating havoc than knocking the power out when there's, brutally cold, deadly temperatures.
I know, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, again, there's so many people that have come across the borders, in the past decades, not just now, even though now it's record numbers, flooding across. We don't know who they are. There's tens of millions of people completely untracked. There's more people than the size of all the armies of the world, really, that have come across that border that we don't know who they are. And meanwhile, you have 13 U.S. states warning that giant climate activist funds are buying up public utilities. Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, buying up utilities. Oh, and then there's others, of which we've talked about, Gil Bates, and many others too, buying up everything to do with producing food and farmland. It's just so obvious. Hello. I mean, it doesn't take much to put it all together. It's just greed and power corrupts, and this system is just corrupted beyond saving.
It is. We really do need to come together in our own ways and take control back and stop giving the control away. And every time with our devices, every time we do choose to do things out of convenience, and I'm guilty too, because I like things to be a little bit easier, but when we choose the technology for those convenience purposes, we're giving our power away.
Well, more people are standing up and noticing, but is enough getting done? Absolutely not. Not even close to enough is getting done. Remember Ayn Rand? Well, this is quoting Ayn Rand and talking about this dystopian vision that's out there that we see. They're full frontal pressing us on this. And, I was going to include another quote from a scientist that shows that really in like the last 70 years, the temperature hasn't changed by more than 0.3 of a degree, 0.3 tenths of a degree, which is basically in the margin of error for pretty much any study. So basically, we understand that what they're telling us is really, it's just a sales job. And, again, we need to wake up as many as possible because there's still so many people out there that are just sleepwalking off that cliff.
It's unfortunate. We need to speak up far more than we are.
Yeah, so, again, we have to head this, off before they get too entrenched. And when we look at that 1.7 trillion dollar bill that just passed, where nobody had the time to read it, and then it's put together by these people that are sitting in Congress for decades, unchallenged. And, there's worry that there's going to be a lot of people cut off from Medicare, Medicaid, because of that bill. And, again, it's just a system it's worse than a joke. It's really, the system is a tragedy. And we're hearing from a lot of people, they have not seen such brutal winter weather so early in the season, if ever. And in places that understand winter, like Buffalo, New York, sure knows winter. I remember going through there, I think it was February, first week of February. Challenging place, absolutely. You have to be tough to live in Buffalo, New York. I mean, it's cold and you get feet of snow, as you can see. And the ice, look at the ice on that house. So yeah, we've seen family members that have said that, they've never seen it like this, and they've lived in Buffalo their lives. You got cars abandoned in the middle of the roads. It's just a nightmare. And, here we are. We're only a few days into winter, just a few days in. Now, the Weather Channel is showing most of the U.S. to be above normal temperatures, but I've noticed lately, it seems like the last couple of years, whatever the Weather Channel says, it ends up being way off. You would think that those red shields would understand, but perhaps they don't want to share what the reality is. No, of course not.
No, you don't ever want to. You don't ever want to help us out. Never, never. They lose control if that happens.
Can you get out of that house? I mean, look at it. It's iced in. Can you really make your way out? I mean, you might have to be pounding on that door.
I know. Right?
Might have to tell Rama there's a cookie out there and then just let him open it for us.
No, Rama would get the door open. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was playing with him with the ball. He was jumping like 6 feet off the ground. But this is absolutely brutal. Look at this again in Buffalo. There you go. It's making its way in through the storm door. I've actually seen worse than that. But still, that's pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. So Buffalo to be pummeled by another 36 inches of snow after days of blizzard warnings. 80-mile-an-hour winds. 7 deaths. Bomb cyclone would go down in history as the most devastating storm to hit the U.S. as millions were without power at one point in time. And so, yeah, there is a state of emergency, and Governor Hochul has called in the National Guard as well. It's serious, guys. And again, we were warned about a long, cold, dark winter. Well, this one certainly it's shaping up to be that way. It's so cold, it's raining bats in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen lizards falling out of trees down in Florida when it gets too cold. And then they'll thaw out later on. They really will. They'll thaw out. Now, I don't know if it's the same thing with bats, though, because they're mammals, so they might not be able to recover. But yeah, 300,000 bats, they might end up relocating. Unusual, to say the least. Here's a few amazing pictures from this polar blast and bomb cyclone. Look at that. It's just beautiful, isn't it? Those pillars of ice. And yeah, that's not so beautiful. Well, winter can be a winter wonderland, but it can also be very deadly, as you can see. Not going to make it through that car wash. That's pretty that's tough when it's icing up on the inside of the house. And then you got the sundog sunset here. Well, nobody's going to go swimming in that water park right now. Frozen lantern on the shores of Erie. Look at that. Is that a pineapple or something? I wonder if that's northern. No, that's in Ontario. No, okay, there we go. Conway, Arkansas. That's Ontario. Yes, that looks right. Polar lights over Alaska.
Beautiful. I look at those whenever I see those lights. I never see it as just lights. There's always an entity in there to be seen.
And here is a buffalo blizzard picnic. Now, those guys, they're used to it.
Yeah, I mean, they seem pretty cozy.
Yeah, they sure do. Well, I guess you do acclimate. Baghdad clears. Streets flooded after heavy rains hit Iraq. This was really a rare event again. So many places that are desert and don't get these type of rains are getting these rains. We saw massive flooding in Saudi Arabia. DHS issues a Christmas warning to illegal immigrants. If you're coming from Central America and you're not used to what you're getting up here, it's deadly. There again, at least 17 people have died because of these deadly temperatures. And you got so many people out there on the streets, not to mention just the people that are usually on the streets. Now you got all these illegal immigrants coming over and on the streets too. Or some of them are over at the VP's house, by the way. 3 other bus loads just arrived over there from Texas.
Well, I don't think that they're really horribly taken care of. I think they're kind of taken care of pretty good.
Well, they do always look kind of healthy.
They do.
9 killed in fuel tanker explosion near Johannesburg. It got stuck under a bridge and then it went up in flames. We've seen so many things like this happening constantly. And then, there's so many that we've lost this year. And at some point, I know there's going to be 1 million people doing videos over, the notable people that everybody, or at least most people, have heard of that have left the world suddenly. It's Stephan Bonnar. If you follow UFC, he was in a legendary fight with Forrest Griffin, and he was an icon. He's dead at 45, heart complications presumed. 45 years old, athlete. These guys in MMA are some of the most well-trained guys. Talk about well-trained. Here is Olympic gold medalist who, a gymnast, is dead at 51. As you could see what it says right there. And Dax Tahira, executive producer of ABC News, 37 years old, heart attack. Incredible, the number of young people who are having sudden cardiac death. Yeah, we didn't see this just a little while ago. I mean, you didn't see this prior to 2019. Even 2020, we didn't really see it. It just took a little time to manifest, but it's the tip of the iceberg, unfortunately. Are plants conscious? Science writer says yes. And in my mind, I'm thinking, duh. Of course. Of course they're conscious. I mean, how could you think a plant is not conscious? Yes, I mean, it doesn't have to be the exact same consciousness as us, as it has a different vehicle. But in reality, it is of the same nature as our consciousness. It is, again, just operating a different vehicle. So it can't talk to us per se in a language that we can perceive unless we are maybe a little bit more expanded in our perceptions. Because, we've shared, there's been studies where researchers have hooked electrodes up to plants, and they've had one researcher go and water it, speak to it nice, even send it positive thoughts. They've had another one that will come in and just break a piece of leaf off and burn it and hurt it. And they see different signals coming off of it when each one of those two researchers would come in.
Yes, that was one of my so amazing. But you know what also is fun, if you're in the forest and you just quiet your heart for a minute, you start to hear the conversation going on all around you. It's deafening silence, but you can feel the energy and you can hear them, and they speak to each other. And say trees are 100 feet apart, if there's a bad insect or a bad thing going on with one tree, it will send information to the next tree to release certain poisons, or at least tell it to protect yourself, and it will protect itself. So they're so amazing, these little plants, and we should just talk with them more often. It's very healthy.
And this is where a lot of people like that follow us on a regular basis, to them it'll be the same thing. Of course plants are conscious. Of course. But we have to recognize that there's a lot of people out there that won't think that they are. And to me, it's mind-boggling. Of course they are. Consciousness is everywhere. It's in everything. And there are so many what we would call disembodied consciousnesses out there all around us all the time. That's just a given. You're never alone. Again, you're never, ever, ever alone. There's always beings around you all the time. And since we are, again, heading back up into 4D to a point where many of the mythological creatures and things will become very, very evident. You could think of it as in the fact that we are heading back into a magical reality in so many ways. We just got to get past this lower astral realm. And really, once we get free of this horrible dystopian system, life is going to become so magical yet again.
It will. It'll be some really interesting times we have coming up. If we clean our system and put in the work, we can see all of those magical beings around us right now. But even if you can't, just to know that your loved ones, your ancestors, whether you knew them or not, they definitely take an interest in you. You are never alone. They are always there. They're always saying hello. They're always giving you a little nudge, always there to support you in some way, shape, or form.
And look at how adorable, again, just look to nature. Just look to nature. Get out in nature. Spend more time in nature. Unplug, just disconnect yourself from all the technology. That technology is, to use lack of a better word, it's a demonic superhighway is what it is. And literally it is a superhighway for these dark energies to come through. So especially in the year that's upcoming, make sure to unplug as much as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. indeed. And look at this little guy. Just look at that for 30 seconds. Let that energy soak in and really enjoy the rest of your day.
Once again, guys, happy holidays. Much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.